Happens, do you think, if you follow women's advice to your tribe?
Everything will fail.
Everything will fail.
Since women thinking by feelings, you know.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Welcome to Women Are the Problem, Men Are the Solution. I'm your host, Paradox. In today's episode, I'm going to be demonstrating that all of the problems that we have in our relationships and all of the problems that we have in society are down to one simple fact. Women think with their feelings. Let's get into this.
Meanwhile,
Do you agree that men are more stronger?
No,
You don't agree?
no, absolutely not.
Oh, wow. You gotta be shitting me.
So
It
then,
depends on the man.
Right.
You see a skinny, like, scrawny little guy, and then you see a big girl, you're like, okay. Yeah. Who am I going to bet on?
for sure. But in general, like on average, not at all.
No.
Don't think
It's
that.
Your test results came back positive. You're a stage 5 dumbass.
So why do we think that that tiny lady thought that she could call out a man double her size, and she looked like she wanted to fight? Why do we think she felt she could do that? Altogether now, because women think with their feelings. She was triggered by something, she was upset, and she couldn't control her emotions. And thinking with her feelings, she thought it was okay to go up and start poking a massive guy in the chest. Thankfully, her husband was there, and men think with logic and reason and common sense and critical thinking, and he managed to remove her from danger. Then we had the woman that said that, oh, I don't believe that men are stronger than women. Why do you think she thinks something so moronic and obviously untrue? Altogether now, because she thinks with her feelings, because it feels good, or because it feels bad to say that men are better than women at anything, stronger than women, faster than women, smarter than women. For a feminist, she's obviously a feminist. Only a feminist would say something like that. Traditional women, when I say women are the problem, I generally mean woke, liberal, progressive, modern women, not traditional women. So the women I'm going to be using as examples are all modern women. And I could have entitled this Modern Women Are the Problem. For a modern woman whose brain has been turned into scrambled eggs by feminist ideology, which is basically female supremacy, she cannot bear the feeling of admitting that they need a man, that men are better at anything. You think to yourself, how could a woman say something that stupid, that in general men aren't stronger than women? You've got to understand the effect that the feminist mind virus has on people's thinking. It literally corrupts logic, reason, and common sense, because at the core, feminism is female supremacy and misandry. So imagine if you went up to a KKK member, a white supremacist, and asked them, do you think black people are stronger and faster than white people in general? Now, even though we know that's true, most of the top sprinters, all-time records are held by black people. All of the sprints basically, and actually most of the middle distance and long distance records are held by black people, Africans in the latter case. And most of the explosive, powerful, fast athletes who play American football and basketball are black. So there's just no doubt about it. In general, black people are more athletic, and in sportswear, speed, power, agility, flexibility is required. Black people are overrepresented. But if you said that to a white supremacist, their white supremacy would not allow them to consider the evidence, to consider logic and reason. Their ideology says that white people are superior. Therefore, they cannot acknowledge anything that contradicts that. And so for a feminist like her, she cannot allow anything, evidence, common sense, reason, to contradict her feminist belief that women are superior to men. That's why she acted like that. And why can she not allow it? How does feminist ideology work? It works because women think with their feelings. So it feels bad to say that women are worse than men at anything. So they don't say it. So she won't allow herself to say that. She won't allow herself to say something that feels that bad. She will say something, regardless of the fact that it's nonsensical. She will say, no, women are as strong as men. I would take a woman over a scrawny man, because that feels good. It feels good to say that women are better than men. It feels bad to say men are better than women. So again, these kind of moronic statements that women make are all due to the fact that they think with their feelings. Moving on.
How do you pick the guys that you want to date? I don't need a man.
Why not date a guy? What's going on there? Or anybody?
Because I can do what a guy can do.
What? Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
Yes.
So what about kids and family?
I can adopt.
Do you think it's better for a kid to be raised with one parent or two?
I think it's better for two because I didn't get to experience having two parents.
What?
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
So then why put your kid through only having one parent then? I don't know.
You were literally too stupid to insult.
You disrespect yourself and your nation. You are made of stupid.
I hope my meme said everything I need to say about that one. The level of stupidity it takes to say, I don't need a man. I can do anything a man can do. I could just have my kid on my own. Oh, I think children should have two parents because I was brought up by a single mother and it wasn't good for me. The level of stupidity that it takes to say that can only come from the fact that you think with your feelings. So your feelings tell you that you've been hurt by men, and this is where it comes from, obviously. Some man that she really loved or really wanted, some Chad, some bad boy, broke her heart, pumped and dumped. And as women do, the resentment and bitterness and pain she feels because of that breakup is projected onto all men. So like a child, she's in a sort of permanent sulk whereby I don't need a man. You know, that's why women say that. It's because the man they wanted didn't want them. So because they can't take accountability for the fact that they weren't good enough for that man, they make it all the man's fault. So therefore, I don't want a man because I don't need a man because men can't give me anything I want. I can do it all on my own. It's just a really basic psychological coping mechanism. That's all it is. I don't need a man. But because the interviewers asked her about her childhood and she exposed the fact that she was brought up by a single parent, single mother, and that it wasn't good for her, it contradicts her story that she can bring up a child on her own. And she just, I don't know, her response, I don't know. That kind of stupidity, that kind of hypocrisy, that kind of absurdity that modern women demonstrate all the time comes from the fact altogether now they think with their feelings. And I should really explain what I mean by that. When that tribesman said at the beginning, and when I say women think with their feelings, what we mean is this. When you think with logic and reason and critical thinking and common sense, you look at the evidence, you look at how the world works, gravity, sunlight, parenting. You look at evidence, you look at history, and you weigh the evidence based on, as I say, evidence, history, and you also abstract things. If this, then this. You use logic. But when you think with your feelings, you say to yourself, if it feels good, it's true or it's right. But if it feels bad, it's false or it's wrong. That's what it is to think with your feelings. That is how an infant thinks. Before our brains developed, under the age of about 5, all of us, men and women, boys and girls, think with our feelings. We don't know how to abstract. We don't know how to use logic and reason. So we think with our feelings. If we feel bad, no, it's wrong, it's bad, it's not true. If we feel good, yes, it's right, it's good, it's true. Yeah, that's how infants think, and women think like infants. That's why I say modern women, because traditional women are taught to grow up. They're taught to use logic and reason, but modern women aren't. They're spoilt, and they're told that their feelings are the best thing to think with. That's why we have this culture of identity politics where we mustn't hurt people's feelings. The culture of offense, of woke, where everyone's a victim. And if your feelings are hurt, then the whole world needs to change so that you feel safe and you're not triggered and you don't feel hate speech has happened. Yeah. So women have been brought up in that environment. So we have prioritized how people feel. And so modern women don't learn to use logic and reason. They're just told, yeah, if your feelings tell you that go with that. And so that is why women are the problem, because they're mental and emotional infants. They act like infants. They think like infants. And so giving women the vote, I know we did this a long time ago, but the fact that women have the vote when they think with their feelings is like giving the vote to 4-year-olds, 4-year-old girls, spoilt, bratty 4-year-old girls. Putting women in positions of power is like putting 4-year-old girls, 4-year-old spoilt, bratty girls in positions of power. Just look at the Democrats, look at the Democrat politicians. Look at the Democrat voters. Look at the women who melted down on TikTok because Trump won. Were they or were they not acting like infants, throwing tantrums, threatening murder, threatening divorce, shaving their heads, screaming, crying, having nervous breakdowns, just like toddlers, just like infants? They really are. Modern women really, really are mental and emotional infants who think with their feelings, and because of that, they are the problem. But I've got more proof. Let's move on.
Drake, I'm leaving you. It's Drake.
You can't do that.
Why? It's not fair.
This one gonna hurt. So what about
It's not fair.
If your husband was like the guy of your dreams, great guy, this and this and this, Drake, I don't know.
Drake, 10 minutes. I don't care. Damn. That's all I get. I'm good with that.
Just Drake.
Why am I gonna lie to you?
Well, at least she's honest. I respect that.
I feel you, girl.
10 minutes is all I need, and I will go
for a lifetime.
For a lifetime. Because I'm going to just keep replaying the 10 minutes in my head forever.
You're a strong woman.
Them gal ya wicked, them wicked, them wicked. Them gal ya wicked, them wicked, them wicked.
I think the best line out of that was, you're a strong woman. You're a strong woman for having no integrity and just basically ripping up your marriage vows and kicking your husband to the curb because you get to spend 10 minutes with a celebrity that is also a pedo. Again, that kind of despicable behavior, absolutely disgusting, to say that you would divorce your husband for 10 minutes with Drake, which is just disgusting and despicable. She's all happy to say it. She's proud of being able to say it. Number one, because we live in a gynocracy in which anything women do is okay. But number two, because her feelings for Drake or her image of Drake, or the fantasy she has in her head about Drake, I should say, are so powerful, they overcome all modesty, decorum, humility, audacity, just all the reasons why you wouldn't say that are overcome by the fact that she thinks with her feelings. Moving on.
Have you seen in your research the connection between the father not being around and the kids growing up with insecure attachment? Oh my goodness. So the research on this is wild and people don't want to believe it, but they found that the mental health outcomes of children who do not have a father present are catastrophically bad. For example, more than 99% of mass shooters come from fatherless homes. It's catastrophically bad if a child does not have a father. What's really fascinating is if a child doesn't have a mom present, but does have a very engaged father, their mental health outcomes are actually pretty good, which is we would not expect. But fathers are enormously important. I saw some research just the other day for children with autism, and they found that children with autism, the father's cortisol level corresponds almost 1-for-1 with the child's cortisol level in the home. But with the mom's cortisol level, there's almost no correlation at all as long as the child has some basic functioning skills. It really is your father that provides so much of your stability.
And to put some stats and data behind what he's saying, I'm going to read out these statistics in a way that points to the cause of the statistics. 63% of youth unalivings are from single mother homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from single mother homes. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from single mother homes. 80% of rapists with anger problems come from single mother homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from single mother homes. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from single mother homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions come from single mother homes. 85% of all youths sitting in prisons grew up in a single mother home.
Meanwhile,
I'm really sorry, but you cannot convince me. I will die on this hill. You cannot convince me that it is a better option to have a baby with a man than it is to do it on your own in this day and age, unless he's adding an immense amount of value, okay? And even that, I'm like, we don't need them anymore. We want them. There's such a huge difference. There's so many people like, oh, I can't wait to find my fairy tale. Like, I'm not giving up on the fairy tale. Maybe you are your fairy tale. Maybe you are your dream guy. Maybe you are your dream person. Like, stop putting all this energy on men and them coming to save you. You have to save you. I will die on this hill. I'm sorry.
How can you talk if you haven't got a brain?
I don't know. Why is it that, in general, on average, in the main, the children of single mothers do so poorly in life? Altogether now, because women think with their feelings. The most difficult job in the world is raising a child to become an adult. As I said before, when we're infants, we all think with our feelings. We have to learn not only language and to walk and things like that. We need to learn to be responsible. That means we need to learn to have the ability to respond. And in order to be responsible, you must be able to think critically. You must be able to use logic and reason. And you must also be brave enough to admit your mistakes and say when you're wrong. So responsibility, logic, and reason are what are required for a child to become an adult. Fathers model those two qualities because men are logical and rational. Because remember, kids don't do what you say, they do what they see. So to raise a child, you have to model the behaviors you want them to have. Modern women, single mothers, are neither logical or rational, as I'm demonstrating with this video, and they're also unaccountable. We all know women are allergic to accountability, and accountability is just another word for responsibility. Admitting you're wrong, admitting your mistakes, recognizing that you're suffering because of things you said and did, because of your poor choices. You're a single mother because you allowed a man who wasn't committed to you to come inside you while you weren't using contraceptive. It was your fault. But women never see things that way because they're allergic to accountability. So they blame the man. And that is why the the children of single mothers do so badly because single mothers do not model logic, reason, critical thinking, and do not model responsibility and accountability. So the children of single mothers don't grow up. They simply don't grow up. They remain, their development is arrested, and they remain children in adults' bodies. And all of those statistics are what happens to adults who are mental and emotional infants. Why are they mental and emotional infants? Because they were raised by a mental and emotional infant. Can you see how obvious and clear it is that that's what the problem is? It's just that nobody else will say this to you. The whole world is too afraid to speak the truth about women. I don't know why, because I'm not scared of women hating me. I'm not scared of being called a misogynist. I'm not scared of anything, to be honest, but I'm definitely not scared of the anger of women. Am I scared of YouTube censoring my videos? Well, they've censored many of my videos. They've given me warnings. They've given me strikes. But at the end of the day, I just know the truth, and I believe in free speech. And I believe that if Western civilization is being destroyed by the fact that we keep empowering women and giving women the vote and power and putting them in positions of leadership when they are not capable of using logic and reason, and they are not responsible and accountable, is the equivalent of putting infants in positions of power and leadership. And it is absolutely insane. And I'm not going to say that. And I'm not afraid of any pushback because I'm right. And you know I'm right. Why should you be afraid of saying what you know is the truth and you know is right and you know is correct just because it hurts people's feelings? That's how we got into this situation in the first place, by caring too much about hurting women's feelings and not telling them you don't know what you're doing. You're thinking with your feelings, so you're like an infant. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to take your advice. I'm not going to give you the vote, and I'm not going to put you in positions of power and leadership. It's that simple. I don't understand why it's so complicated for people and why it's so controversial, which is why I'm making this video.
What happens, do you think, if you follow women's advice to your tribe?
Everything will fail.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
It will fail.
Since women thinking by feelings, you know?
Correct. Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share, and I'll see you in the next one.